Welcome to the offseason, coming off of a very successful season record-wise, but a huge disappointment in the end. A 28-5 team does not make the NCAA tournament. We swept through our conference play in regular season, going 15-1, and then we lose in the championship and don't even make the NIT. Very, very disappointing ending to this season. But we have a lot to get better with in this coming season. 28-5 was great, but we have some new surprises here in the offseason. Last year, an 11 seed, Iowa won the national championship, and here after season number 2, Nova, Murray State, Michigan State all make the Final Four, and Murray State makes it. This time, the underdog loses by 3. But so close to a mid-major making the NCAA championship and taking that one home. That would have been the second straight year a pretty much non-dominant team wins it all. Well, we head into the offseason, and we have some huge news. We get a conference invite from the SoCon Conference. We could replace the Citadel. I can't even talk. But let's just look at who is in the SoCon. Appalachian State, they lost 6 games last year. Chattanooga is there. College of Charleston is also there. Davidson, Steph Curry's alma mater, is there. Elon out of North Carolina. A lot of North Carolina schools in this conference. Furman out of Greenville, South Carolina is also there. Georgia Southern. I think since then they have moved conferences, but they are here now. Samford, and we decide to join them. UNC Greensboro is also there. Western Carolina is also there. And Wofford. So we will be joining a new conference, a new challenge. Our strength of schedule should be a lot harder, coming from a bottom tier conference now to kind of a mid-major conference. So I'm happy to really move up in the world. We probably could have needed that strength of schedule going into the NCAA tournament. But now we head into our team. Antonio Johnson's going pro. Now, I did nerf his overall, obviously, to have him declare, but it's way too realistic for him to declare. He had a great season last year, and he's a prototypical NBA guard, and he's going to go. Average about 18 points in his career. Marshall Allison also graduates. He had a very good year in season number 1. He played very sparingly this season, and so did Jack McAbee. Both of those guys contributed big in season 1, kind of took a step back in season 2. Now we head into the offseason of recruiting. Now, since Antonio Johnson graduated, we now have 2 scholarships in the offseason, and now we look to see who will be the next guys to really run this program through the next conference, the SoCon. Florian Kessler, what a name that is. A 6'9" center, 21% from 3, 24.5 points per game, 4 blocks per game, 6.4 rebounds per game. This guy is everything that a team could want. I mean, he can score. He can shoot. He is a center. I have not seen a center in this game at all shoot that well from 3. He is definitely at the top of my list. Tyson Gant has to be number 2, our first Mr. Basketball that is interested in UCF. 13 points per game. That's kind of lower, but he's a 6'7" shooting guard. 3.5 rebounds per game. 4.6 steals per game. 3.5 assists per game. 22 from 3. That 4.6 steals per game lets me know that this guy is a lockdown defender. He can also shoot. He is a 3-and-D guy. I mean, at 6'7" to have a 2-guard that size, unheard of. The next guy, Saleh Nicks, 18.6 points per game. He can score the basketball, 1.5 blocks, only 2.8 rebounds. I'm actually surprised with that lower number. He's only 6'6" as a power forward. I think in order for him to really get above Gant or Kessler, he would have had to be a much better shooter. Justin Glenn has us first on his list. He has pretty good speed at 6'1", but only shoots 10.9% from 3 in high school. That definitely does alarm me there. 18.1 points per game. He can put the basketball in the hoop. and he also averages 2.9 steals per game, which is pretty good defense. Grant Williams is next, 6'7". It's amazing to see 6'7" as a small forward, but our top guard is 6'7". We have some things scouted with him. We are very impressed with his ability to score the ball inside, so that lets me know he's going to be more of a slasher. We are second on his list. We have 2 scholarships to give out, so we do have to be picky here. But he is a guy to consider. He's number 219, so it's going to be interesting. Here is Grant Williams. I mean, he can... I would say, you know, he's not the greatest guy, but he has an average 3-point shot. That definitely, you know, kind of rubs me the wrong way. If you can't shoot the 3 ball, I'm not sure if we can really go after him. Next is James Bates. 11 points per game in high school, 5.6 rebounds, 1.8 steals. Nothing too impressive here, and I'm looking for somebody to really, you know, knock my socks off here and really impress me. Nobody really in those next 3-4 guys after the top 2 really are standing out. But Brody Goodin is next, and the one thing that stands out here is that 47% from 3. He averages 10 in high school, 5 rebounds as a 2 guard, 3.4 steals, 5.4 assists. Okay, he has my attention. He is definitely number 2 or 3 right now. I think the big man has the number 1 spot right now. It's just that he's such a unicorn. Mark Mahoney is next. Now, he averages 15 points a game. I'm not really too impressed with him. And that's going to do it for our top prospects. We only have 2 scholarships to give out. There's no doubt in my mind, Florian Kessler is the number 1 guy. I mean, this isn't a question at all. He is one of the most unique prospects I've ever seen in this game. And out of the 2, I decide to go after Tyson Gantz. I can't ignore a 6'7" shooting guard. It's just way too much. He's the Mr. Basketball in New Hampshire, and we see advancing on if they do commit. Now, it looks like Kessler ends up committing to UCF, but Gant goes to Gonzaga. I knew he was too tough to ignore. I knew somebody would try to scoop him up at 6'7". That size, that ability, it's just a lot. I decide to go after some other prospects just to see who's out there. There's Lopez, there's Conti. I'm not really sure who is really going to be a high potential guy, and I kind of decide to go after the potential. Rick Lopez is a point guard. We need some point guards. We just let go of Maccabee and Antonio Johnson, and I think that we're going to go after Lopez, take a shot on him. He ends up committing, and that will do it in offseason recruiting. We do end up with an NIT conference invite. The reason why this is so funny is we did not make the NIT postseason tournament last year, but we make the NIT preseason tournament this year. It doesn't make any sense. Make it make sense. 28-5 record, and we don't even make the NIT. Well, we open up the season with the NIT tip-off tournament. We play LaSalle in our opener. We end up going on the road to play number 2 Illinois. Now, that's going to be a huge game because maybe that's the reason why we didn't make the tournament. We didn't have that big marquee win versus Louisville when we played them earlier last year. Maybe going on the road and beating Illinois, that could be the marquee win that we need to get into the tournament if we don't win the championship this season. It's going to be a tougher conference. Obviously, every team's going to be much better, so we're going to have to see what's going to happen there. And looking at our conference schedule, we play each team twice. We have, I believe, 12 teams in the conference, 10 teams in the conference, a lot more than our last conference. And we will see what happens here. In training, front court is going to get a lot of defensive training. The back court is going to get some shooting training because I need to be able to shoot now with Antonio Johnson gone. And I will make sure it's a 60-40 split. I usually do 50-50, but I do want our starters to be on point this year, especially seeing that our star scorer is gone. Now, Bongani Mawangi is going to be our star once again. He was Conference Player of the Year last year. He could have possibly declared for the draft. He decides to stick it out. He goes into the season 75 overall. He's our highest rated guy. Reese Mahanic comes in as a guy that's going to need to score as well. We're going to kind of play inside out this year because without Johnson, I think that we're going to be hurting on the outside a little bit. But Credible will probably move to the starting lineup. Devon Bands might be in the starting lineup at times because he is a better shooter. I could have Credible and Bands as the 1 and 2 guards. Who knows? I don't know what the lineups are going to look like. But we're going to shuffle stuff around quite a bit. Credible's going to need to step up this year. In his first year as a starter, he's definitely going to have to be there. And then we have some new faces. Now, we did rename our recruits because you can't do it before you recruit in this game. So Sam Hayes will be a freshman point guard at 74 overall, only 5'10", but 87 speed, 84 quickness, 85 offensive ability. I like that a lot. The only thing is his three-point shot is only at 70. Now, our big unicorn center ends up being renamed to just Juan Woods. Now, this guy is a unicorn. His three-point is only at 74, but that's very, very good for a center. 84 field goal, 90 block. His rebounding could be a bit better, but I am excited about this defensive ability. He could actually end up being a starter at some point this year simply because of his defensive prowess. I don't know who to really have coming off the bench, though. I mean, right now it's going to be Woods, but Mahanic is really good at scoring the basketball. I can't afford to have him on the bench too long. But then Mahanic or Mawangi is obviously a two-way player. He's definitely going to be a starter all year. But we definitely need to kind of figure out what we're going to do. Bob Sharp is a three-point shooter, so we took a chance on Lopez. He ended up actually being a very good three-point shooter. I was worried about that because I needed a point guard, but I also needed a shooter, and Bob Sharp is definitely what I needed there. 71 overall, 83-point shot, so it's going to be good. But Jordan White could take a little bit of a back seat because he's not as good of a shooter. He did compliment Antonio Johnson well, but I'm not sure if he will compliment Just Incredible just as well. I think that really, I'm not even sure. I don't know who's going to be a starting point guard right now. I don't have a definitive answer. I think that's the biggest question. Who's going to be at point guard? Because White was good on offense and defense, but not at shooting. You saw in that final game versus Winthrop, he missed a couple of open threes, and I just can't allow that anymore. Like, you got to be able to shoot in this offense. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know who's going to start there, but we will find out soon. We start this season, season number 3, versus LaSalle in the preseason NIT, so that should be interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed this offseason. A little shorter of an offseason. The offseason in this game isn't too much to it, so we will see how season number 3 goes. Hit subscribe, hit that like button, stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tenant. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bobbing in the dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, yeah, this how we